Alan Wicker's world.
That's it.
Oh, Alan Wicker.
Yeah. Sorry to...
Not Willy Wicker.
You just had to come into me straight away. I had to say it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it was there.
Yeah.
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 It's a conversation we had 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Pardon?
Just suddenly come.
Alan Wicker. Yeah. Yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah. So, so talking about Alan Wicker,
Right.
being in the 70s and 80s, it comes on to relationships.
Right.
So here it is. It's the podcast nobody asked for. 3 guys in a kitchen, drinking coffee and having a chat.
So, a lad I know, my age, 56, is in a relationship with somebody that's 32.
Okay.
And I said to him, well, what do you talk about? 23 years. Music. Just give music for an example. I just said Alan Wicker. Ash raised his eyebrows. Did you have any idea who Alan Wicker was?
Only when you said Wicker's World,
Okay, but you never...
that rang a bell, but I had no idea. No.
So we're talking about music.
Yeah.
Right? I've drove over here this morning listening to Smooth 80s.
Yeah.
Right? Breather on, Haircut 100, or my genre of music. If I'm going out with somebody who's 23 years, would they have known about 80s music?
Well, I think music transcends, doesn't it, a little bit more than
Even
some
more so
of that.
now. I mean, going back to our conversation about how you listen to music these days.
Yeah.
Anybody that's 20 now can listen to Pink Floyd.
Well, I know the
Because
80s having a bit of a revival, isn't it?
Well, no, I mean, not just the 80s, but I'm just thinking, because you have access to every kind of music.
Yeah.
Even at 20 years, you can be listening to stuff from the 70s. It's
I just think
you might.
You are right about the age thing, though. So when we went to Scotland, and just before we went to Scotland, I'd watched the new Mickey Flanagan stand-up.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And I love Mickey Flanagan. And so we're in Scotland, and I put it on, and I'm in stitches, because he's talking about, and Mickey Flanagan's older than me, but he's referencing things that,
Everyday life.
Yeah, and I can kind of understand it.
Relationships,
Yeah. Straight over Charlie's head.
Was it? Yeah.
And it was interesting, that 10, 11 years. See, we spoke about Only Fools and Horses a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I remember growing up loving Only Fools and Horses. So I was born in 86.
Yeah.
And I first got introduced to Only Fools and Horses probably when I was about 8, something like that. And I was 10 when they did the last episodes, which I insist are the last episodes. The 3 that they did after when they came back do not count. The last one where they became millionaires.
Yeah.
Right.
The Lesser Watch.
The Lesser Watch, yeah. I remember that. And I remember that moment, and I was 10. And that came out a year before Charlie was born.
Yeah.
And it was quite sort of, I thought, you never watched Any Fools and Horses.
So
Weird.
So was that your only concern?
No, it's like what you were talking about, the Europeans and the way that they go out and they talk and they converse. They don't pick up the PDAs and start looking at stuff. So you're having dinner.
PDA?
Personal device.
Yeah.
Personal device what?
Yeah.
What's the A stand for?
I ain't got a clue. Yeah. But anyway, so if you're having a meal, what do you talk about? You want to talk, some music comes on. Oh, I love this band. This is Sade, and they'll go, who?
Yeah.
It kills that conversation, doesn't it?
What, because of age?
You don't think so?
Because of age?
No, because they've got no correlation with that music. You just mentioned about Mickey Flanagan.
Maybe it's about the moment.
Hold on. You have said that this guy that you know is the same age as you. He's 56 and he's in a relationship with a girl who is a woman, who is 32, right?
Mm.
But you can have a conversation with Matt. Matt's 30.
Yeah. But do you know who Alan Wicker was?
I mean...
Well, don't talk about Alan Wicker.
No. I know, but I'm just giving an example. If I'm dating a woman who's 56, you would think there would be an instant recollection of Alan Wicker, an instant recollection of Only Fools and Horses, and, Del Boy lean on the bar and go and play cool trig. Pull,
But does it matter?
I think it does matter. I think it's part and parcel of how we communicate and how we build long-lasting relationships. You have to have some
Commonality.
You have to have some kind of
Common interest.
understanding of what's going on.
But I would disagree that age has an impact on that. Ash's 32 years older than me.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Just thought I'd, get that in.
It's really...
But we get on, we communicate. Do we have the same interests to a degree, and then we probably have very different interests at the same time?
Yeah.
Does that? I don't know if that's sort of.
I think in relationships it's different.
You're right.
Yeah, and coffee.
Oh.
Because you tend to be 24/7. You live together.
Yeah. Yeah, I suppose you're right.
You only connect with Ash and myself periodically.
True.
When you're living together, that's the test of a relationship. Well, as soon as you move in together, you then start to realise, have you got something? Because it's got it's more than sex, isn't it?
Usually, you should be.
You might be doing it. You might be doing like rabbits from the first couple of months when you get together.
Yeah.
But then all of a sudden you think, "Get me a cup of tea, love," or "I'll make you a cup of tea, love."
People of different ages in a relationship, what would they talk about?
Not different age of a certain age difference.
Yeah.
How long have this couple been a couple?
Oh, this bloke's been married 3 times,
Okay.
so he hasn't got a good track record.
Right. I mean, nor do I.
No, but I think, I'm not saying anything wrong in it. I'm just saying, there's got to be, you have your physical attraction, don't you?
Yes.
Then you have the stimulation of discussions and conversations and going out, similar hobbies and all that type of stuff. And as I said earlier, I think also you have to have respect the other party, that sometimes they need their space.
Mm.
Yeah.
Mm.
And there's nothing wrong in that.
Mm.
I think it's good for a relationship to have, what's the saying? Heart grows fonder when you
Distance makes the
heart grows
something
fonder,
along them
something
lines.
like
Yeah.
that.
We'll work on that.
Yeah. But I just think, you look at
Absence
things,
makes the heart
absence makes heart grow
Yeah.
fonder. So you look at all those different things and you think, well, there's a bit of a difference at that 20 odd years, 30 years, 40 years. You see it, don't you? You think, well, who's just got married again? Is it the guy that owns News Corp, Murdoch?
Oh, is he
Is
remarried?
he going to be a dad again, or is he?
Is he?
He's in his 80s and 90s, and you just think,
Yeah, you can't really make judgments based on those kind of people.
no,
They're very different.
That's more about money and power and,
Yeah.
and all that.
yeah,
Oh, yeah, but okay. So you just said then, you've got, when you first see somebody,
yeah.
right, is it always, could you ever be in a relationship if there wasn't a physical attraction? Do you have to be physically attracted to somebody?
Yes,
You do.
yes. You have to find them attractive, don't you?
Do you?
Yes.
Okay.
We're programmed that way.
Well, it depends what kind of relationship you want. If you just want a platonic relationship, then clearly it doesn't matter.
Correct.
But if you want a
Intimate.
relationship,
Yeah.
then yeah, I think so. I mean, you've got to have some attraction towards them. And is it? Can it be just intellectual?
Yeah, I think that's got a little
Can
bit
it be?
to it.
Can it just be intellectual? Can you see past the fancying bit? I don't know if you can.
I don't know. It's an interesting one.
Well, I mean, we're going into really dark waters with it.
This is deep.
Dark waters, because now medication and science has made things possible that weren't possible a few years back.
Yeah, I understand. I get what you're going at. Little blue pills and all that, right?
Why is the oldest man in the room laughing?
because I'm kind of laughing at the fact that
I think you get different colours now, by the way.
you've kind of mentioned
Fair enough.
it. It isn't mad whether you can get it up or not. It's
Sorry?
Whoa!
Whoa, Tiger.
it's better. It's better than that. You're talking about.
It's not about getting up. It's as I said to the doctor when I had my MOT, you can't stand on it like you used to be able to, but it's okay.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, interesting.
I think it's. I think it's fascinating because I think why are certain people attracted to certain people and other people are not attracted to? Why is
There's
there
always
no
somebody for somebody, isn't there?
But there's no strict definition of what people find attractive, is
Of
there?
course not, because each individual finds different things, and
Characteristics,
different
don't
aspects,
they?
different characteristics. It could be for some people, it could just be the voice,
Yeah.
right? It could be, obviously, it could be the looks. It could be certain mannerisms.
Yeah.
You know, it could be a personality trait, something that, you know, attracts you more to that person from a personality.
There used to be, you know, if you had a square chin with a dimple in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or dimples.
Or dimples.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, people have always
It's like ginger hair has always been a big pawpaw. And now ginger hair,
Yeah.
it's dying out. They're actually saying
Did you mean poo-poo?
not Papa.
poo-poo,
Pawpaw.
poo-poo.
That was a Renault advert, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Nicole, Papa.
Papa. But it was interesting. We were at the airport and we saw the ginger lady first.
Mm.
She'd married to a ginger man, and they had 2 ginger-haired kids.
Well, that's not surprising.
No, but that's celebration, isn't it? Because
What?
because the ginger gene is dying out.
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
So okay.
because yes,
There's no dye left for ginger beans.
no. So now,
Oh,
so
for
now
God's sake.
we've got to try and preserve the ginger gene. This is a serious conversation.
Okay.
This is a serious podcast.
Right.
Right?
Where we
The
preserve...
ginger gene, you can listen. The listeners can, research this. You two definitely need to research because you don't understand what I'm saying.
I wasn't laughing at what you were saying.
I don't know because it is a serious.
I was just laughing at the way you were saying
the
it.
ginger gene is dying out.
Okay.
Okay.
Right. So we've got to preserve that ginger gene.
Okay.
Right.
Is it like conservation?
Scotland,
Right.
very prone to ginger.
Right.
Right. And even they're struggling to get gingers now in their population. So we've got to.
Maybe we could do a conservation project.
Okay.
Where we get all ginger
Let's
people.
not get distracted. You started on a reasonable conversation. Let's not distract ourselves into that.
Oh, thanks.
But go on. You talk about fancying people.
Yeah,
Oh,
no,
that was Andy's question. I never.
No, well,
I heard about the age difference.
but you talked about that relationship that you already, mentioned about the 32 versus 56.
Yeah.
And there must have been some attraction there.
The 32-year-old has to find the 56-year-old attractive.
And
If we
vice
if we
versa.
look at it in the rawest sense, the animal kingdom, right?
Yes.
You've got a 56-year-old male
Yeah.
dating a 32-year-old female,
Yeah.
right? The attraction, I would think, is going to be more from the male than it is from the female initially, because it's going to be a sexual attraction.
But no, I would argue maybe against that because I would say that biologically, what we are looking for, bottom line, is reproduction, isn't it? That's the bottom line. Biologically,
Folks can reproduce up to
yeah,
their 80s and 90s.
that's what I'm saying. So
Well, we
biologically, yeah. So biologically, the whole point of us and every single animal and every single organism and every single plant is reproduction.
Correct.
That's the whole point of our existence. I
But-
mean,
We're one of only a handful of mammals
yeah,
that typically stay with one partner. The male role is to spread seed,
yes.
okay, and to. What are you raising your eyebrows for? Is it my description that's not right?
No.
So we're supposed to be nomadic. Men are supposed to go away and meet as many females as they want,
Polygamous.
and
Yep.
just have a rutting season.
Yeah.
The strongest of the ones impregnates all the females.
Well, thank
Right?
God that doesn't happen anymore.
Well,
I mean, in some environments.
so you're absolutely right, Andrew. That is the male's
Yes.
main purpose,
Yes.
is to preserve the gene pool.
Yes.
Yes.
So what I would say is that so a man biologically is looking for the best mate that will produce the best offspring.
Yeah.
Really?
Do you not think so?
Well, no, but as people, is that what we do?
No.
As people, no.
No.
But biologically,
Yeah.
in the background,
Yeah.
that is ultimately what
Okay.
we're looking for.
okay.
I would argue.
Okay. All right.
Are you building a jigsaw there, Ash?
I am.
What is he doing?
He's very tense today.
He's very tense, isn't he? He's very tense.
Let's get him back onto the sex bit because he seemed a bit more lighting up.
Yeah, he did, didn't he? So what I'm saying there is that you've got your 32-year-old female
Yeah.
may find the 56-year-old male attractive for the fact that he could perhaps offer a greater level of financial support, a greater level of sustainability for her offspring. And I'm saying this that not necessarily that's not the agenda, but in the back of everybody's mind subconsciously, that is what we're doing.
I think, me personally, I'm looking for stimulation of a communication period, or I'm not looking for physical as much as I was in my 20s and 30s. I would rather have somebody that takes pride in what they look like and their appearance, but also you can have some good discussions. I don't think I would have the discussions with a 30-year-old that I would have with somebody in their 50s. This is my. I may be wrong on this.
I think it depends on
and I
the
think
individual.
also you will look at it, if you flipped it 360 and looked at it from a woman's point of view, a woman in her 50s, single, divorced, whatever, to go and find another man, if that's what she wants, be it for companionship, protection, all those type of things, whatever you want to put them into categories, very difficult because we don't have that outlet that we used to have many years ago. So the guy that I met in Malaga, he met his wife on a dating app. I mean,
I don't like dating apps.
I have to work with blooming computers every day. Most of my meetings are conducted, no contact at all. It's virtual. So impersonal. I hate it.
Yeah.
The thought of that would horrify me.
I hate dating apps.
So I'm going to flip it to the man sitting opposite me. And he told us about the story of you meeting that lady who was a widower in Spain.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And the conversations you had in that bar with the other people. Mm-hmm. Now, that's how we used to meet. Right? That's how you instantly build up a picture of, yeah, I can have a conversation with that person, because it's not just the person, it's what they're talking about, it's what makes that person a person.
Yeah.
I don't think you can judge that virtually until you actually sit down and meet them. Is then the test when you go, yeah, there's something in this, or you're not really my type.
So when you were younger, when you were looking for relationships and stuff like that, and when we were all younger, it used to be places that people gathered. So it'd be either work, it could be at the bar, it could be in cafes, restaurants, I suppose, discos, dance places, social places, stuff like that. You used to be able to do that, but as you get older, you don't actually do that anymore. No. Right. So I don't have a problem with dating apps, because I think it provides, I know they can be, kind of manipulated in all sorts of ways to get wrong kind of connections. But actually, as a kind of general idea of being able to meet people online is for a lot of people is the only way, because they're not engaging in with the kind of socializing that they used to do. Having said that, we've just talked about a different society where it's a lot more sociable. People are out and about more, in that situation, actually, in the same way that I did meet people when I'm in Spain, you can still do that there.
Yeah.
I think you can still do that here. I think people choose not to. I think that people, and it goes back to social media and the way that people behave, I think people choose to do it that way because they don't see another option. I could never use a dating app. I've never used a dating app. I've never been on one, because I prefer the social face-to-face interaction.
Of course you do.
And, I think when I met Charlie, for example, when I first saw her, I found her attractive. If that had have been on a dating app, I imagine I probably would have scrolled, whichever way it is, right or left, I would have scrolled yes.
Physically, because you look...
Physically,
yeah.
I would have scrolled just... I wouldn't have read any of this stuff about who she was as a person because I would have just gone, attractive, yes, there we go. In the same way that I did that when I saw her, physically...
What, you swiped her with your right finger?
Yeah, I pointed out the window and just went...
You'll do. Didn't go left.
There you go. You can stay. Yeah. I imagine if it was on a dating app, she probably would have scrolled the other way. I don't imagine we would have ended up dating if she hadn't have been able to see me
in person
around the office, the way that I was behaving, the things that I was doing. She wouldn't have, you know, there must have been a physical attraction. She must have been in some way physically attracted to me, but I don't imagine in that first instant she was physically attracted to me. And that kind of goes back to my point of, does it have to be about physical attraction? Because I don't think that she found me as attractive as I found her. I think that my attraction, people have always said to me, Matt's always said, out of 10, you've got like girls that are a 10 and men, they're the same. And Matt said to me once, he was like, you're a 3 until you smile. And then you're a 7, maybe even an 8.
Wow.
I know, put me down. Yeah. But in a way, kind of
but does not the person that you're talking about, that person's idea of somebody they like, fancy or whatever, can be a multiple of things. And in your situation, the thing that she liked about you, let's assume, is the fact that you smiled. Or was it? It could have been the way that you were speaking. Maybe it could have been the stuff that you were talking about.
I think, probably.
It could be a load of things. It might not just be the physical attraction.
No, I agree. And that's what I'm saying about the age difference.
Mm-hmm.
Because we're building every day, we're building life experiences, we're building examples, scenarios. As somebody in their 50s, they're going to have a lot more than somebody in their 20s.
Yeah, I don't see a problem, to be honest. I don't see a problem between those different ages. I think people can engage with each other and find attraction, whether it's, like we said, whether it's physical or, personality or whatever. I don't think age has a lot to do with it. Yes, you might find that there'll be the references that they don't have because they're younger and all the rest of it. But that doesn't stop you having a relationship.
Oh no,
it doesn't prevent you from having a relationship.
I think we need to qualify relationship. You can have a relationship, as you said earlier, on multiple levels. I'm on about a relationship that is going to go into a full-blown partnership, marriage, call it what you want. Yes, you can have a conversation with somebody in their 20s and 30s. Of course you can. I have a conversation with my children's friends and so on and so forth. But if you go back to the app scenario, I'm assuming in the app you put what you fancy, age, type, colour of hair, eyes, all that type of stuff. So if a 56-year-old bloke's putting in, I want blonde-haired, slim build, 25 to 30, that's what he's going to find, I guess, on the app?
Yeah.
Okay. But then if that 25 to 30-year-old female is not looking for a 56-year-old bloke, they're not going to get matched, are they?
There'll be some outliers there. If you specify what it is that you're looking for, the algorithms will always push it outside of the box a little bit.
But you wouldn't think a 32-year-old was going to put in the tick.
Did they meet on a dating app?
Yeah.
So she may not have restricted her age. As in, she may have just put, I'm not bothered about it.
Okay.
So that is an option.
I'm not bothered.
I'm not bothered.
Yeah.
So I suppose, I am in a situation now where I'm alone, right? And you may say, well, do you want a relationship? And I would say, well, actually, I can't be asked at the moment because it's still very early. In fact, if I did have a relationship with somebody, I would feel that I'm cheating on my wife.
Can we just pull that back one bit, a relationship?
Oh,
quantify what? Because let me explain something. Okay. You'd have no, and please correct me if I'm wrong on this, right? I get the impression you'd have no problem going out with a girlfriend, a lady friend, for dinner.
I have several of them.
Right. So when you then go above that, that's what I'm assuming you're communicating with. You're not looking to go anything past that.
Yeah.
And what by that do you mean? That's what I'm. So you've, Ash, got several female friends, several male friends that you could go out and have dinner with. You're, Stu, saying, you know, about going past that.
I'm saying that at this moment in time, it's purely companionship. It's purely dialogue. It's purely. There's the line. I'm not crossing that line.
And what is that line?
That line is just going out.
Intimacy.
Yeah.
Intimacy.
Yeah.
So the line is sex. Is that what we're saying?
We're talking about Ash here. We're talking about
which is different.
No, I didn't mean it like that. No, but what I'm saying is we're talking about and I don't think there's a right or a wrong on this, right? Is when you are ready. And I think only you will know when you're ready. Nobody can write a book and say, go and read that book. It'll tell you exactly what to look at.
But what I was going to get to is that I don't have that desire at present.
No.
If ever I do, I don't know.
Yeah.
For me, it'll always be a comparison with the person that I was with for 50 years.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what the comparison is. The comparison is that I met that person very, very young. It's still teenagers.
Yeah.
Right? 17 and 19. We're still developing as people. If we were as individuals.
You did a lot in your teenage years, as we came to know.
And there's more. But, you know, meeting at that age, as I say, we're still developing as teenagers, as individuals. Rather than developing individually, as you might have done, we develop together.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what I mean by that is that we kind of molded each other.
Yeah.
But you didn't. But I'm going to disagree that was Are you all right?
I'm just thinking, go to a window, get some fresh air.
Yeah, well, the window is open, but I was in it.
Open a bit more, please. Let's get warm.
It's a lovely day.
It's lovely. That's what I'm saying. Let's get it in. Let's get the
sunshine.
Yeah,
like the sunshine.
Beautiful.
Open the door.
That's it. Let's see if that blue tip will come in.
Yeah, I would open that door, but Aiden's upstairs.
That's fine.
It's fun.
I mean, maybe one day we could do it outside.
Oh,
please, miss, can we do our lesson outside today?
We could do it. Could we not do that?
We could.
We could do it outside.
We could do, but we'd have to wait until the neighbours are away. But
yeah.
Anyway.
Well, we don't talk about your neighbours.
No, I know we don't.
But they listen anyway now. He's so serious, and he's clearly on edge because he's making patterns.
I think there's something he's not ready to share.
No, I don't think there is.
No, you don't know what it is, but I think there's something deep.
Something's going on.
Something's going on. He's with us.
Yeah,
but he's not.
But he's not with us. He's physically here. Sorry, what I was going to say to you was about growing together. And you were 19 and was 17, and you grew and you developed together. But I don't think that necessarily had to be the case. I don't think that automatically would happen, because I was 19 when I met Isabel's mom and she was 17. So exactly the same ages. We didn't grow together. We grew apart. What?
Well, okay. Yeah.
What's your...
But I'm laughing because that's life.
Yeah, but we didn't. That's what.
But my comment wasn't a generic comment. It was
specific for you.
To us.
Yeah.
Specific to us. I'm not saying that works for everybody.
Yeah.
But the very fact that is how it happened, you can imagine that if ever I met somebody, it would always be a comparison to that person. We are not only developed our...
And by the way, Ash, so would you. So would you.
Well,
it's not just you doing the comparison.
Yes.
They're doing the similar thing.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Yeah. And that's where, once you get to that, then you know it's something of real substance. Because the female is comparing the male with a previous spouse, or, and you're doing the same.
Except that everybody's situation is different, without a doubt. So that person that I might meet might have a different life, different stuff to bring to it and all the rest of it.
Yeah.
I have a specific thing to bring to it, and that's a very, very long relationship with somebody.
Yeah.
So for me to go from that to a relationship, I think would take a much bigger step.
I would agree.
Yeah, because for
people.
you compared to others, you have your first love is your only love.
And as you say, for first, I have to fancy somebody. Yeah. But then beyond that comes a whole load of other stuff.
Yeah.
And that's about personality. It's about beliefs, ideas, ideologies, values, all of those things would come into it. And if you've got time, you might kind of develop, a connection over a long period of time. When you don't have time, either it clicks or it doesn't click.
Yeah. after that 30 seconds synopsis, I think I've got his problem.
Go on.
What if he meets someone that's a better cook than him?
Oh, I mean, the likelihood of that happening.
I mean, it's not going to last, is it? It'll be, don't cook it like that.
That would be...
Don't leave that on there.
We would see a different side of him, wouldn't we?
Hang that coat up now.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's an interesting
Can you imagine
one.
that? Can you imagine the dynamics of that?
So
that's what it is.
Yeah, I think that...
That's what it is.
But you are... So how did... Because you're quite...
Don't hold your punches.
Yeah. Well, you're a bit of a perfectionist. You are a perfectionist.
Nerd, yeah.
Yeah, and you have to have everything in
OCD.
the right OC. I would say borderline.
Yeah.
Schizophrenic.
Yeah. So
he'd get a knife to you.
Yeah. If
you didn't eat his cake properly.
Bit harsh.
Was Anne like that?
Was she like that?
Yeah.
No, I think not to the other extreme, but not as precise and stuff as I am.
Yeah. Did you therefore have to make allowances?
Well, this is
yin
about,
and yang, isn't
this
it?
This is about growing up together.
Yeah.
It's about kind of accepting where it has to be, those differences, but also that because you've spent so much time together, you do, as I said to you before, you kind of mold each other. You kind of find a central position which kind of, suits you both.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean that you don't have your individualities.
Yeah.
But in terms of things like, I don't know whether it's politics or lifestyle or whatever, those kind of things you kind of bring together and you become one. That's what happens, right? So,
and it's really interesting when and I've said this several times during this podcast, when you live together, that's when you really understand the person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They leave the washing here. They don't do the washing up. They don't do that. And that's that person.
Yeah. I have a really good story about that. Do you remember, or you won't remember Alison Thompson used to work with us?
No.
And
I never fraternised with a female.
Before your time. But Alison was, if you like, the typical female, very feminine, right? Lots of curly hair, blonde hair, makeup, dressing, very, very, feminine woman.
Attractive.
And very attractive, yeah.
I was trying to say that.
So Alison would always, be keen to have relationships, and she would meet people and she'd have relationships with her. Now, I worked with her, so I knew what she was like from a work perspective, right? Very intense and quite precise about what she liked and what she didn't like and all that kind of stuff. But and she'd be dead excited when she'd meet somebody new, and she'd talk about it, and it'd be great.
A new relationship.
It'd be great for a period, as it would be. As it would be.
When the novelty wears off.
As it would be. And it's the best thing since sliced bread, and you'd get all that, right? However, then they would go on holiday.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And quite often after the holiday,
that was it.
That would be the end of the end of the relationship.
Yeah.
And I used to love her to death. She was really, really, she was a really, really considerate person, and she was great for me because I was starting in sales in those days, and she was very kind of, helpful and all that kind of stuff. But this aspect of her, I could understand exactly why when as Stewie said, that you don't know that person until you spend 24 hours, 7 days a week with them. And the first time that happened with Alison was when she went on a holiday.
Yeah, and then
they realised what she was actually like, and then they wouldn't carry on.
Yeah.
Anyway, that was just an aside, really. So,
I'm just looking using technology to see if I can find a picture
of
Alison.
I might have one somewhere.
Thompson.
Yeah, I might have one somewhere.
We're going to have to edit that bit out, aren't we?
Hey?
We're going to have to edit. We can't talk about. Let's put a name in there. Though.
Well, I mean, she might know this, but she might get this podcast.
Oh, so we're not. It's not something that you would share that could possibly.
Hold on a minute.
What?
We could be doing.
What?
She might be single, might be divorcee, might be a widower, all that type of stuff. Ash might have a dinner. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, hang on. You forgot. You just forgot what I've just said.
No.
I knew her so well. that I knew.
The character is
spending any more than 24 hours with her. There was just no way.
Right, edit that out, mate.
We'll keep it out. We'll keep it out.
You don't have to edit that. She won't.
No. But this is what I was saying about the point we've got to where Ash has just shared that story is why I said a 50-year-old meeting a 32-year-old, sexual attraction first of all, but then when they get together and they go on holiday together or they live together, it's a real test. That is the litmus test. So I can say to my kids, I can't wait till you get your own place. Because do you know what? Food just doesn't appear on your table.
Yeah.
Your washing doesn't miraculously get cleaned and hung up in your wardrobe.
No.
You know, you've got to do it yourself.
Yeah.
So, and with that, let's bring this one to a close.
So here it is. It's the podcast nobody asked for. 3 guys in a kitchen, drinking coffee and having a chat.